All right, how is everybody? So today we got ourselves a nice little goodie haul here. Hit a couple of thrift stores earlier in the week and managed to walk out of there with let's see here, some pretty cool TV shows, a couple of Blu-rays, and some CDs. Yeah, and also a cool little figurine, little awesome little trinket that I found. All right, so first up, let's just get the CDs out of the way first. Of course, well, this band, obviously, they've been around forever. Obviously, one of the best, rock bands of all time, especially in the 80s. Started, kind of in the early 70s, but especially going through the 80s. You know, awesome band. What can we say? What's for them, we wouldn't have such great, awesome songs, whatnot. But, so first off, I got two albums from their awesome discography. Of course, talking about AC/DC. Yes, one of the greatest bands of all time, in my opinion. So here we have AC/DC's High Voltage. Yeah. Now, granted, the case is a little bit messed up, but hey, you know what you can do? You can always replace the case by buying a CD of some sort that you have no interest in. Just replace all the content. There you go. All right, but so this is one of their better albums, which also includes TNT and let's see what else, Livewire, and It's a Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll. So yeah. Then up next we've got one of the I think it's probably one of their. There's like it's just to me it just seems like one of their other albums that that I really didn't listen to really a whole lot of, minus the first song, of course. But of course I'm talking about The Highway to Hell. Yeah, which of course features the title song. Of course, I remember this song being really popular. Of course, when WWE or WWF at the time. They used this song to promote their SummerSlam of 1998. So, yeah. Still, though, an awesome album. Still trying to track down a lot of their stuff. But, that's all in due time. All right, so let's get the Blu-rays out of the way. So, first off, I got some sort of horror thriller film, which sounds kind of interesting, like a post-apocalyptic type of thing. Sounded interesting, and I'm like, okay, apparently it's a WWE Studios movie. I had no idea, but I have no idea which wrestler makes an appearance. I have no idea. Yeah. Anyways, so here we have, starring Shawn Ashmore, of course, from the X-Men series, of course, Iceman, and of course we also have Dominic Monaghan, of course, from Lord of the Rings. We have The Day. I've never seen this, and it sounded pretty interesting. I mean, sadly, it doesn't, excuse me, it didn't come with the DVD, but hey, that's fine. I'll take the Blu-ray because it's all there. Alrighty, so then up next, we have a remake. Now I've had the DVD for a while, but I'm not sure if it's working anymore or if I lost it or what. But I'm like, what can I say? This one's actually one of the more, one of the better updates, or shall I say, one of the better remakes that Hollywood has actually kind of somewhat made. Of course, written by James DiMonaco, of course, who would go on to do the Purge franchise. Sadly, though, one of Graham Revell's last scores that I know of. But, of course, the original film, written and, of course, directed by the awesome John Carpenter. We have the remake, starring Ethan Hawke and Lawrence Fishburne. We got Assault on Precinct 13 on Blu-ray. Yeah. By the time I upgraded that movie. That one's actually pretty good. Alright, so now finally the TV shows. Mind you, I found these for like mere like $2 a piece. I'm like, sweet. Of course, I remember the original show being on, because I remember my dad would always watch this show. When I knew this show was on, it was time to get ready for bed. So I'd have to listen to that for years and years, and sure enough, well, what can I say? I kind of got the the law, uh, you know, bullet, I guess, or the law bug when it comes to this show. This show is awesome. Hard to believe it's had so many spinoffs, but I've never actually watched any of the original stuff way back when it first started, but I am pretty aware of it. But this particular series is actually the first season of one of the spinoffs. Yeah. And mind you, it's still in the plastic wrap. Yeah, so here we have Law and Order Criminal Intent, the first year. So I've got a lot more of Law and Order to track down because, well, I think there's probably about maybe 30 to 40 seasons when you add all the spinoffs and the original show all together. So I've got quite a bit of Law and Order to get. All right, then up next we have something, a series that sounded interesting and never really heard about it. And apparently it's one of the first TV series about the Vietnam War, which is kind of interesting. I don't know why. To me, it sounds like it screams Stephen J. Cannell. I don't know why. However, though, one thing I did not know about this until I just read the back of this. This also stars none other than the late, great Kevin Conroy. Yes, Batman himself. In the very first season of Tour of Duty. Yeah. Let's see here. Where is he? I wonder if I can... Yep, right there, front and center. Right there. Batman. That's cool. So, yeah, that's the first season. And I'll have to... Actually, I've never actually watched it, so it sounded pretty cool. And then we also have... Let's see here. I'm not sure if he's in any of the other seasons. But... the funny thing is that this one actually has, or rather also co-stars, this season, the co-stars, of course, the late, great, Carl Weathers. I mean, sadly, 2 TV seasons that I picked up with 2 of my favorite actors that have passed. We have the third and final season of Tour of Duty. So all I need to do is get season 2, and I'll have the complete series of this. So yeah, that's basically it for that small little haul, but we still got more to go. Yeah, so visited this other little thrift store, and mind you, all the DVDs were 75 cents, and they decided to put it in this really cool little orange tote bag. The funny thing is that it actually says Halloween on it, which is kind of cool, but I'm like, that'll be a nice little thing. So now one of the movies that I got in here is a reacquisition. We'll get that one out of the way first. Now, mind you, I have this, but I think my discs are starting to, I don't know, either they're getting kind of scratched up on the bottom, or they're just not looking very good. No disc rot, by the way, but I'm like, seriously though, for 75 cents, I will definitely repurchase this movie. I'm, of course, talking about the Criterion release of Michael Bay's Armageddon. I kid you not. 75 cents, probably one of the best, cheapest Criterions I will ever own. Yes, I have seen the movie before. I still have it, but like I said, I think my discs are getting scratched up from so much usage, because this was one of my first ever Criterions that I owned when I was a lot younger. Now, so many years later, I have a new copy of it. So there we go. Alrighty, so then up next, we have a movie that I think I have seen before, but what's kind of cool about it is that it actually came with the slipcover, and it's not even opened, which is awesome. Of course, directed by one of my favorite directors, Nicholas Winding Refn, who you know from Drive, and of course the original Pusher trilogy. We have Ryan Gosling in Only God Forgives. Yeah, and it's basically about a guy who's a Muay Thai fighter who lives in Bangkok. And they actually shot this in Bangkok, which, believe it or not. And, but yeah, it actually came with the slipcover, which is pretty cool, which is awesome. Alrighty, then up next we have a James Gunn classic, which I think I've only seen maybe once or twice. Yeah, but I know it's really weird. It's completely messed up. But what can we say? This is kind of where he got his start, and who stars, of course, Nathan Fillion, very young Elizabeth Banks, and of course Michael Rooker. We've got Slither, the widescreen edition. Yeah. Every time I try to find this, it's always full screen. So now I finally have the widescreen version of it. Finally, that movie's weird, but it's like weird, but in a good way. All right, so up next we got a film from, of course, the late great Joel Schumacher. Now, this is one of the movies that I've never actually really watched per se. Now I know of it, but I've never actually seen it. Of course, I love a lot of the John Grisham books, especially The Firm, which is actually one of my favorites. That was actually one of the first books of his I ever read. But then I also was recommended that I should read A Time to Kill, and I'm like, cool, this book's actually really good, and I actually did manage to find A Time to Kill. Yeah, so looking forward to actually enjoying this. It's in the original snapper case, and let's see here. Is this okay? It's kind of weird is that they have the seat. This must be one of the first DVDs. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm kind of looking at the back. Obviously, there's it's kind of weird because I think the movie is so long. Because if you look at the scene index here, you can pause that. It's like it stops. Like you watch half of it, then you flip it over to the other side and watch the other half. How long is this? 150 minutes. Wow. I'm going to have to actually sit down and watch this and see if you actually have to, flip the disc over and see. Wow, that brings back memories of how DVDs were back then. Let's see. Ow. That hurt. Yep, DVDs going everywhere. Yep, that hurt. Y'all were waiting for that one, weren't you? Piles upon piles upon piles of DVDs. Thank God I was sitting right here. Oh, man. Ow. Alright, well, let's see here. Well, besides that little fiasco, let's see here. Alright, so up next, we have, well, a DVD, actually, there's several, this one right here. Here we go. That one wasn't one of them. Anyways, so here we have a movie that's really old school. Stars, of course, Grace Kelly and William Holden. Now, the funny thing is that the front case, that this is actually a Region 2 DVD. Here we have, from author James A. Meshner, we have Pedro den Toko-Ri, or is it? It's actually The Bridges at Toko-Ri, actually. And this is actually a Region 2. I want to say it's maybe a French or Spanish, I don't know. But at least it's got, let's see here. I want to say this is probably French, but at least it's got English mono in it. So, but yeah. I just saw this for 75 cents. Now, I've been trying to track this down for a while, but, this will hold me for now until I find the English version of it. But it's kind of cool that they actually use the older disc art in there for the disc. So, yeah. Alrighty, so, let's see. Up next, we have a movie by Richard Linklater, which I've heard is great. I've never actually seen it. I want to say it's one of Ethan Hawke's earlier films, I think. Let's see here. Yeah. So here we have written and directed by Richard Linklater, which I've not actually seen. Yeah. So here we have Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, I believe is how you pronounce her name. We have them in Before Sunrise. which I've never actually seen. I heard it's really, really good. And then as I was browsing around, they also had, just because I had it right next to it, is that they had also Before Sunset. And I think there's actually one more to this. I think there's a trilogy of films, I think. But I don't know. So yeah, that'll be an interesting double feature. I've never actually seen it because I love Richard's movies. So, alrighty. So up next, we have a movie with which sounded kind of interesting, like a in the near future, post-apocalyptic world and stuff like that. And all I know is that it kind of caught my eye because it is directed by Tom McLaughlin, who of course is no stranger to horror, who directed one of my favorite films of the franchise, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. So here we have, of course, Craig T. Nelson. For those of you who don't know who he is, he's Mr. Incredible, or Coach from the TV show Coach. And of course, or shall I say, ex-Mrs. McLean, Bonnie Madalena. We have The Fire Next Time. Yeah, I've never heard of this, and I'm like, huh, it sounds interesting. And the funny thing is, it's actually a Mill Creek release. And, oh, it's one of those made-for-TV movies. It's 3 hours and 15 minutes. Wow. Okay, never mind. I figured it was about 90 minutes. I didn't realize it was that long. Sweet. Alrighty, so up next, as I mentioned, I got the Bridges at Toko-Ri. I found another James A. Meshner movie adaptation, which I've only seen, but I've never actually watched it because I know it's pretty long. Of course, it's released from Artisan Entertainment, which are slowly but surely starting getting harder and harder to find. We have Texas. Yeah. Like I said, this was only 75 cents. I'm sure it's really good. It also looks like it's got one of those, like it was made for TV type of movies. But, I mean, hey, it's got a big name cast in it. I mean, it's got Anthony Michael Hall in it, Stacy Keach, and of course, Keith David, John Schneider. Yeah. So, it sounds pretty cool. So, have to give this Western type of movie a try. So, alrighty, then up next, we have a movie that I've heard about, but mainly just from his filmography, but I've never actually seen it. But, you know, what can we say? Another director who sadly is no longer with us. Of course, he passed away several years ago. The great Albert Puyen, of course, who's directed loads of great movies, including Cyborg. We have a movie starring Christopher Lambert and Ice-T and Mean Guns. Yeah, I've never seen this, and I just grabbed it because it was an Albert Puyen movie, and I didn't even realize that Christopher Lambert was even in it until just now. Sweet. Gotta add some Raiden to your collection, aka Highlander. Alrighty, so finally, these next several DVDs are all in the same case, and type of case, so I grabbed them. These are those old school cases that, for those of you who purchased DVD way back when it first started, you'll kind of recognize these cases from Circuit City, and of course Best Buy. So here we have a movie that I have no idea. It looks like one of those Navy SEAL type of movies that just screams, awesome cheesiness. Yeah, so here we have a movie with Antonio Sabato Jr. We have one of the awesome mutant movies of all time. We have Wolverine. Nah, it's not about Wolverine. Although, could you imagine him playing Wolverine? Schnick. Yeah, like I said, so these are like those old school DVDs where they were just released from, was it Platinum Disc Corporation. Now, they'd always have these there. So cheap. Absolutely nothing on the disc, just the movie. And you can see that they got a whole bunch of awesome cheesy goodness. At least they got cover art, at least. So, that ought to be interesting. So, alrighty, so up next, we have a movie starring, an actor that I really wish would be in the Expendables franchise, but sadly he still hasn't been in one. Maybe they'll get around to him in number 5, because, what can we say? He needs a big comeback. I'm telling you. What can we say? It's the American Ninja himself. We have Countermeasures starring Michael Dudikoff. Yeah. I'm like, huh. Movie that sounds terrible, but it's uh, sounded interesting because, well, it looks like it's got a couple of Harriers taken off of an aircraft carrier. So there we go. Looks awesome. We'll see how terrible it is. So, alrighty, then up next we have, well, sadly, it's so sad that he has not gotten a huge career. He's mainly gotten a career really for playing bad guys, just in low budget roles and stuff like that. But of course, he was in the first Expendables movie, and he was also in The Best of the Best. Of course, Eric Roberts, the brother of Julia Roberts, also co-starring Jeff Fahey very early on in his career. We have Free Fall. Yeah. Now, mind you, a lot of these movies that I'm showing you, I have never actually seen any of these movies actually re-released, like, at all. So sometimes I guess you can, you know, this may be the only way that they'll actually get released. But here, directed by John Irvin, of course, who did The Dogs of War, starring Christopher Walken, and Raw Deal, starring Schwarzenegger. So that actually might be pretty good. Have to check that one out. Let's see. Up next, well, we have a movie that sounded interesting. At first, I thought, I'm like, okay, what is this? And this must have been on like in the before she stopped acting for a while. I don't know, or this definitely screams 90s. Oh yeah, 93, very early 90s. Here we have Drew Barrymore in Gun Crazy. Yeah, I don't know anything about this. I just saw I was in one of these cases. I'm like, sweet, for 75 cents, why not? Sounds like something out of like a Natural Born Killers ripoff or something like that. Alrighty, then up next, we have a movie with Michael Ironside. Yeah. It just sounds awesome. Sam Fisher, also known as Jetster, for those of you who are Top Gun enthusiasts. What can we say? Oh, man, what can we say? Another actor that has passed away recently that also stars in this movie. Emmett Walsh, of course, from Blood Simple. And also, he was also known as the, probably best known as the police chief in Blade Runner. The guy that tells Deckard, "No choice, pal. You're here, pal. You tell me." That guy. So here we have Michael Ironside in Killer Image. Yeah. So you got me. So then up next, we have a movie that stars, well, an actor that I really enjoy. I really wish he would get more parts. I mean, it's sad that his kind of career is it's either up or down. It kind of reminds me a lot of Scott Adkins' career. I'm sure Scott, don't get me wrong, he's this guy who I'm going to show you, he's a great actor, so is Scott. Don't get me wrong, Scott's he's badass. But of course, starring some other great actors in this film. So here we have starring Daniel Bernhardt, who has done some of the Kickboxer movies, but he was also Agent Johnson in The Matrix Reloaded, which he's the agent that Morpheus fights on top of the truck. And also co-starring Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund, and Shao Kahn, Brian Thompson. We have Perfect Target. Yeah. Sounds awesome. To give this thing a shot. Ooh, that looks awesome. Look at that. Robert Englund with a gun and a beard. That looks awesome. Something before Freddy, or maybe after Freddy. Who knows? Alright, so then up next we had another one of those made for cheap movies. This sounds awful, but yeah. Yeah, so I have no idea who even is in this movie. I just grabbed it because of the casing. So here we have a movie called Subterfuge, starring Matt Mulholland and Amanda Pays. Okay, I don't know. Yeah. Hunky guy with chest. Okay, girl likes hunky guy. I get it. Alrighty, well, and finally, so here we have another movie starring Michael Ironside. Of course, never heard of this, but also co-stars very young Brad Dwarf, from Lord of the Rings, and of course also from well, actually from a Schwarzenegger classic. We have Ray Don Chong from Commando. We have some movie called Chain Dance. Yeah, don't know anything about it. And like I said, I just grabbed it because of that old school casing. And yeah, so I have never actually seen this, and it'll be an interesting movie to actually sit down and watch, especially with like these type of DVD cases where they have like this huge selective titles and stuff, but some of these are harder to find. And sometimes, this is really the only way that they can actually be released. It's kind of funny because I was looking at the font here. Chain Dance actually has the Blade Runner font, which is kind of funny. But yeah, overall, not a bad, huge overhaul of stuff during the week. Like I said, you can definitely tell that these are the older ones because they always have this and they always look like that on the side. So, um, so yeah, so minus the little pile mishap that happened behind me, but yeah, apparently I got stuff I need to clean up now. I guess I probably should start moving this stuff out of the way and scooting back a little bit more. Oh well. Alrighty, well with that, you guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and with that, I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully, without a pile dropping. See ya.